hello. I didn't see you there. What's going on, you greasy pigeons? Rick Raleigh here to discuss with you the year 2024 all things hockey. Fellas, it was an absolute gong show of a hockey season. So I'm going to go through month by month and share with you some of the funniest, some of the craziest things that happened in hockey this past season. Let's go. On January 8th, Toronto Maple Leafs fans rejoiced as Willie Stiles signed a contract extension with the Toronto Maple Leafs. We're talking 8 years, 92 bananas this season, making it the largest contract in Toronto Maple Leafs history. Well, I mean, Austin Matthews won't give the boys 8 years, so what are you going to do right there? However, out west, the Edmonton Oilers had a little bit of controversy as they signed Corey Perry merely 2 months after he had his contract terminated by the Chicago Blackhawks. Now, it's not exactly clear what happened, but there is certainly a lot of rumors out there with, him in the whole wandering hand situation. However, he joined the Edmonton Oilers and he was an integral part of their Stanley Cup Finals run, earning himself a contract extension with the Edmonton Oilers. Unfortunately, he became the first player to lose in 4 Stanley Cup Finals in 5 years. Christ almighty, that guy's got bad luck, eh? Tell you that for free. All right, in February, the Toronto Maple Leafs hosted the NHL All-Star Game for the first time since 2002. Now, the All-Star Game in the NHL has gotten chirped like so much, very gimmicky. Players don't even want to be there. And you'll see in this next clip right here, Nikita Kucherov going full beer league in the skills competition right here. Look at that. He wishes he's on a beach in Cabo right now. Now we'll go to the Battle of Ontario, nation's capital, Ottawa and Toronto. Now the Sens are just about to close out this game. Ridley Gregg is skating to an empty net and takes a clap bomb. Now Morgan Rielly takes exception for this, goes over there and gives him a face full of lumber. Now, Rielly ended up getting sussied for 5 games as a result. However, the Leafs were an absolute wagon once he got sussied. Next up, we have the mystery bomb with Logan Stanley. This guy gets in a tilt right here, and you'll see just right about here, it looks like he gets decked in the face by the ghost of Mike Tyson, fella. Like, I see his face just jerk back right there, but there is no punch right there. I personally posted it up on my socials because I was a little curious, and no one could really give me an explanation about why his face jerked back like that. I got no idea. We had Matt Rempe enter the NHL scene. This happened in January. However, in February, he had probably the fight of the year. Him and Nick Deslauriers, like, we're talking 10-round boxing match, eh? And Rempe ends up doing pretty well in some of these tilts. However, you got to see his face after some of these fights he would get in. Look at that right there, eh, bud? I mean, you had Deslauriers starting the lawnmower on his face, and afterwards, I mean, his whole face looked like microwave macaroni and cheese. So the team was telling him to try to settle it down with all the tilts. And then we had Amir Zika, who played on the Phoenix Coyotes, formerly known as the Arizona Coyotes, now known as the Utah Hockey Club. This guy took to socials to start showing everyone that he was doing friggin' nose gnocchis on a Tuesday night. Now, because of social media and everything just travels around, right? This guy ended up getting caught and then his contract terminated. Like, what do you expect was going to happen when you take to the gram and start posting all these silly videos right there? Maybe don't show yourself with the Columbia sinus sauce, buds. Ultimately, he ended up getting his contract terminated. He now plays in the KHL. March was pretty crazy because that's when, like, the trade deadline and everything starts happening. We had Noah Hanifin getting traded from the Calgary Flames to the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, everyone was all butthurt about this because they said, how do they got the money to do this stuff? But, of course, we have this whole Mark Stone situation where Buddy ends up on LTIR for, like, the whole season, but miraculously makes a comeback game 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. We also had a crazy deal between the Colorado Avalanche and the Buffalo Sabres. Bowen Byram got traded to the Buffalo Sabres for Casey Middlestat. Now, there was a lot of people who were scratching their heads at this one. First off, Bowen Byram, the kid's an absolute stud. And also, like, but it's like, why would you do him dirty like that and send him to Buffalo? Eh? Like, what did he ever do to you? And the Edmonton Oilers were trying to stock up on their Stanley Cup run by acquiring Adam Henrique and Sam Carrick from the Anaheim Ducks. Now, Henrique was actually a pretty good vet for the Edmonton Oilers on their Stanley Cup run, and ultimately he ended up snagging the bag in the offseason with another 2-year ticky. Not too bad, fella. We had the Kelowna Rockets mascot in the WHL. I don't know if this mascot was just like on the piss or what was going on, but this guy literally rode right into the boards. Look at that right there. What a little beauty. I mean, you got to stick a breathalyzer maybe on that bony next time, eh? And finally, the Florida Panthers fans show us that they really like to party. That's right. 2 fans end up on the kiss cam, and the lady shows why she secured the ring. Ha ha ha. Good times. All right, April starts, and you know what that means, baby. Playoff hockey. But first, the New Jersey Devils and the New York Rangers had themselves a full-on line brawl. We're talking game completely stopped. I mean, hang it in the Louvre. Look at this. It's just so beautiful to watch, eh? Everyone's having the time of their lives. Now, before the Sens missed the playoffs for the 7th straight year, we had ourselves a reverse Ridley Gregg situation. Against the New Jersey Devils, Nico Hischier skates the puck into the net after the game's already over, and Brady Tkachuk just starts losing his marbles. Now, this was after he went on a podcast known as the Spitting Chicklets, and he said that he thought it was hilarious when Ridley Gregg took the clap bomb in the net. So for me, as a Leafs fan watching that, I was like, suck it, you greasy pigeons. We had the Toronto Maple Leafs down 3-1 against the Boston Bruins. And this prompted Willie Stiles to go absolutely berserk on the bench and tell Mitchie Mana and Poppy to stop crying, bro. And we probably had the save of the playoffs right here. We had Bobo just absolutely robbing the Bolts. I mean, he's staring at row 22. Look at that. Buddy could save a PDF. I mean, Buddy could probably save my parents' marriage. Hey, baby, let's go. The Toronto Maple Leafs end up coming back in Game 6, which has Leafs Nation suffering once again. We're like, why can't you just make a decision? Like, if you're going to end up losing this playoff series, you might as well just do it in 5 games, eh? Like, just put us out of our misery here. But no, the Leafs end up taking it to Game 7 and losing overtime because David Pastrnak ends up scoring on a set play set up by Hampus Lindholm. Now, a few days after, Sheldon Keefe was fired from the team, and shortly after that, Craig Berube was hired, a.k.a. Chief, which made Leafs Nation pretty horned up. You know, it's nice to have a coach out there that's going to maybe show some of these prima donnas just like a little bit of accountability out there, eh? Cheers, Leafs Nation. All right, so we had Valerie Nichushkin for the 2nd straight playoffs going in the NHLPA Players Assistance Program. Now, I try to be sensitive about people going through these things, but crikey, like, I mean, you might want to stay away from the Columbia Sinus Sauce come playoff time. Like, there was a couple of guys on the Colorado Avalanche that were pretty butthurt about all that, and they made it public. We had a pretty heated series between the Boston Bruins and the Florida Panthers. Nice little tilt here, too, eh, between Pastrnak and Chucky. Look at that, a little bit of a mismatch, but how are ya? And not to mention the New York Rangers ended up beating the Carolina Hurricanes. We had a Trouba misfire right there. Kaboom! And lastly, one of the best playoff series, the Vancouver Canucks and the Edmonton Oilers, ended up going to 7 games, and these two teams hate each other. Look at McDaddy just getting the lumber treatment, eh? Right in the jibs. And then we had the Boost Bomb chirping Garland, eh? For being a little smurf. Beauty! And then we had the Stanley Cup Finals in June between the Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers, and this lived up to expectations. I mean, we didn't think we even had a shot in hell in this series right here, going down 3-0, but then the Oilers just start pulling out all their tricks right there. I mean, whether it was a very enthusiastic fan showing her personality, or we had the wrong fan wearing a tarp at the game. Which team are you cheering for, lady? And then we had the Oil digging deep, as McDaddy asked, and the city behind them. And look at some of these fan celebrations right here, eh? I tell you, nothing quite like watching the Stanley Cup Finals in Edmonton, Alberta. Everyone there was just horned up. Look at this. Stanley Cup made out of joints. We had people riding bonies on the streets and fans just throwing bombs on each other for some odd reason. I never understood that. They're wearing the same jersey, you greasy pigeons. Ultimately, the Edmonton Oilers end up losing in Game 7 to the Florida Panthers. And that makes us now 31 years without a Stanley Cup in Canada. Come on, boys. Let's get it together here. We go to the NHL entry draft where Bennett Seneca was drafted 3rd overall by the Ducks. Look at this guy's reaction. He's like, dude, I'm not a 3rd overall pick. I'm not worthy. I'm at least mid-first round. Oh, buddy, he is so shocked right there. Take us now to free agent frenzy in July. Everyone's fired up, and we had some of the craziest signings happen there. Sam Reinhart ultimately re-signs with Florida. I mean, why wouldn't you wanna, eh? You just fresh off a Stanley Cup final, those state taxes right there, eh? That's looking pretty good. You have long-term Bolt and captain Steven Stamkos, a.k.a. Stammer, leave the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now, I know there's a lot of bad blood between those two, but most hockey fans had Stammer's back on this one. I don't know, man. How do you just walk away from your captain there? Now, ultimately, Stamkos ended up signing with the Nashville Predators for a year deal worth $8 bananas. Not too shabby right there, but it wasn't about the money. I mean, how about this guy's legacy right there? A lot of Bolts fans thought that their whole management did him dirty after that. We had a similar situation with Jonathan Marchessault. I mean, fresh off Vegas winning the Stanley Cup just a year ago, the team essentially disrespects him. I mean, that's what he said towards the media, but we know Vegas, right? They do their players dirty. So he went on to sign with the Nashville Predators as well. We had Gensel coming to Tampa Bay. And then some of the Canadian teams rounding up. We got Jake DeBrusk, that Leaf killer, ends up going to the Vancouver Canucks. And finally, Slavkovsky, this kid secures the bag. He ends up making almost $8 bananas a season for the Montreal Canadiens. And then we go to August, where the Toronto Maple Leafs announced that Auston Matthews will be the next captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs. And ultimately, Johnny T ends up getting stripped. And just like that, it's now Poppy's team. I don't know. The guys had injury problems. What are we doing here, boys? And in typical Leaf fashion, Johnny T ends up having basically his best season of the Toronto Maple Leafs in his contract year, right? After he gets the C-strip from him. The Leafs are going to have to pay this guy now. Why can't we have nice things? We had Patrick Laine getting traded from the Columbus Blue Jackets to the Montreal Canadiens, and Habs fans were absolutely horned up about this. A lot of other hockey fans were chirping, saying, we don't know if Lehner's still got it going in him, eh? This guy just loves mucking the whole fortnight. Can he still rip corn in the show? And then at the end of August, tragedy struck where Johnny Hockey, a.k.a. Johnny Gaudreau, and his brother were killed by a drunk driver while they were in town for their sister's wedding. I mean, these guys were just biking. Some dude got absolutely pinned, and yeah, he just made a very stupid decision. And for anyone here watching, guys, there's so many options for you to get home. I mean, sure, why not? Dabble with the Chardonnays if you want, but there's no reason why you got to hop in a car after that. So rest easy, Johnny Hockey. All right, we go to September now, where Sidney Crosby, oh, captain, my captain, signs a 2-year contract extension with the Pittsburgh Penguins for 8.7 sheets a year. Now, this was pretty interesting because this guy, I mean, arguably a top 5 player of all time, has never made more than $10 million a season in his career. And just thinking about these Leafer guys, who end up making 12, 13 bananas, you would never see that happen with the Toronto Maple Leafs. You could tell I'm a little bit of a disgruntled Leafs fan, can't ya? We had the drama between the Boston Bruins and Jeremy Swayman. Oh my goodness, 64 million reasons why Swayman should sign that ticky. This was Seabass from Dumb and Dumber. just going straight to the press, telling them that they had a contract extension there. Swayman and his agent, Louis Gross, they said they didn't, and there's all this bad blood. Now, ultimately, Swayman ended up joining the team very late. Now, Boston messed up because they ended up trading Linus Ullmark before they got this contract situation figured out. Kind of threw their whole season for a loop, and they're still trying to recover now. Although I'm sure if they play the Leafs in the first round, they're probably going to beat them. And we had the NHL officially partner up with Fanatics for their hockey jerseys. Now, this was mixed emotions from fans here. And by that, I just mean pretty much everyone said that this was a terrible idea. For anyone who's ever seen some of the stuff that they have provided, like, oh my Christ, I don't think they know hockey. Like, I'll tell you that for free. Whether it's upside down Charlie Brown logos or things ripped and names wrong. And not to mention, look at some of these prices right here. Then we go to October, where the NHL season begins. That's where most of us find comfort in our lives. Now, the first game of the season between Boston and Florida, look at that right there. Max Jones just whacking the stripes, eh? Look at that hand right there. Frig. Hopefully he uses the other hand, eh, buds? We had the Trouba train, just absolutely lay out Justin Barron for the Montreal Canadiens. Now, there ended up being a tilt followed by this between Josh Anderson and Jacob Trouba. And Jacob Trouba ultimately ends up getting traded away from the New York Rangers. So a little bit of bad blood there between Trouba and MSG. I don't know what's going on with the ranks right now. I can't figure it out. We had the NHL start on Amazon Prime, which is pretty good. My girl just like orders a lot of stuff from Amazon. I was like, oh, dude, they do hockey, you know? Like, that's pretty sick. And I'll be honest, a lot of fans agree that it's like better than Sportsnet. So, first game of the year was Leafs and Bolts, and look at this. Yeah, no shortage of bad blood between these two teams. And we had Rasmussen on Hughes. I love it. Look at that. Just taunting him while he's on the ground, eh? A little salt in the wound, buds. So we go to November where Dylan Holloway ends up taking a shot right to the jugular. Now, there was like a huge medical situation that happened with this guy, but he ends up coming back like a few days later. And it just shows you what a hockey guy is, eh? Like, I can't, these NBA players, I tell you, in their load management, that happened to an NBA player, but they'd be on load management during retirement. Tell you that for free. In hockey news, we had Landon Sim get suspended from the OHL. Now, this is the second time he's gotten sussy for chirping. The first time is because he called someone the P word. Can't really like let that fly out on here. Now with this situation, he ends up getting sussy for calling someone a Mennonite. So I don't know, boys. I don't know. Theo, like, what are we doing here, guys? Doesn't even sound like a chirp, really. I mean, I could say a joke, if it, like a Mennonite joke, right? Like, everyone knows, like, you've heard them before, like, hey, like, how do you please an Amish lady? Like, 2 men at night. But that's not even a chirp calling someone that. We had some bad blood between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Edmonton Oilers. Now, fun fact, Leon Draisaitl was actually following me on Instagram for probably about 20 minutes. And then I'm pretty sure he saw the video. And then, he just like hit the unfollow. So we had Revo going like a little bit of a high hit on Darnell Nurse. Now, Revo ends up getting sussy for about 4 games as a result. Now, I don't like seeing people get injured, right? Like, no one does. But I'll tell you, like, he definitely looks like your creepy uncle getting caught staring. And we had Charlie Lindgren put a puck in his own net. Yeah, that's right. I'm not sure what was going on in this guy's life, but he ends up going full red light rally and puts the puck in his own net. Oh, geez, bud. Like, what do you... Just lay off the piss, eh, bud? Which takes us to December. A lovely way to end 2024. We had Misa getting suspended. Now, this guy's supposed to be like a top 5 pick, if not the first overall pick in next year's draft. He's just launching teddy bears in the 100 section with his twig. And he gets a 1-game sussy from the OHL. Crikey. You settle down now, you greasy pigeons. We had Matt Rempe getting ejected for the 4th time in his 22-game NHL career, and he ends up getting sussied for 8 games for his hit on Miro Heiskanen. People were not happy with the Empire State Building, tell you that for free. And a lot of people says that he's like a pigeon that don't know how to skate and crap like that. But I don't know, Budge. I mean, I kind of like the old rough and tough hockey, eh? Like, just grease a bottle of red wine and watch some rock'em sock'em videos. And lastly, we had Canada losing to Latvia. That's right. In the World Juniors, Canada lost to the Latvians. Now, they'd played each other 4 times just to show you how crazy of a bend over this normally is for Canada. They have played them 4 times and they've outscored them 40-4. And they miraculously lose in a shootout to the Latvians. I'm like, what are we doing here, Canada? Now, the coach, he got in a lot of crap right there because, for starters, this guy, like, they didn't even pick the best team possible. I think that's pretty obvious now at this point. So many studs missing from the tourney. We're talking Yakimchuk. We're talking Bennett Seneca. Guy went 3rd overall. Very surprised about that. We have Zane Parekh. I believe I said that right. Andrew Crystal, to name a few. So we'll see what ends up happening there. New Year's Eve game against the United States of America to close off the 2024 hockey season. And finally, the 4 Nations teams were released in December. Let's go. Let's see what happens. All right, guys, this is Rick Rowley here, giving you the rundown month by month about what happened in 2024. What do you think? Did I nail it? Was it a great year? I think there was lots of entertainment, a few laughs, and a few cries. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section. If you're just browsing along, you happen to stumble upon this video, like and subscribe, and I love you all. Bye.